Why every empire was doomed from the start. Debt and the cycle of empires. 1. Thesis and scope. How recurrent dependence on debt finances imperial expansion yet seeds institutional fragility, showing that fiscal overreach precedes political decline across ancient and modern systems. Footnote. Debt is treated as the common structural driver linking ascent, overstretch, and contraction. 2. Working definitions. Define public debt as enforceable obligations of the sovereign, seigniorage as revenue from money creation, financial repression as policies forcing captive savings into state paper at negative real yields, default as failure to meet terms, and debasement as degradation of money's real value. Footnote. Clear terms allow comparison of episodes that use different instruments to shift real resources. 3. Expansion finance. Conquest, administration, infrastructure, and social pacification are advanced by borrowing against expected tribute, taxes, or growth, converting future surpluses into present power while raising rollover and credibility risk. Footnote. Borrowing front-loads state capacity but compounds exposure to shocks and confidence loss. 4. Ancient Near East debt cycles. Agrarian credit crises produced widespread bondage, prompting periodic royal jubilees that annulled personal debts to preserve the tax base, military manpower, and social order. Footnote. Jubilee Acts functioned as systemic resets rather than moral gifts, prioritizing regime survival. 5. Roman fiscal stress. Early class conflict over private obligations and later imperial reliance on currency debasement and military spending, culminating in 3rd century inflation and administrative overload that eroded resilience. Footnote. Monetary degradation operated as an implicit tax when conquest revenues slowed and costs persisted. 6. Spanish price revolution and insolvency. Transoceanic bullion inflows lifted prices, masked weak domestic production, and failed to cover war outlays, leading to serial state bankruptcies despite apparent treasure abundance. Footnote. External windfalls amplified inflation and dependency, not solvency and diversification. 7. British public credit and retrenchment. Centralized public debt and financial innovation financed global war making, then left a heavy post-war burden that forced decolonization and reliance on external support despite military success. Footnote. Superior credit systems extended reach but could not offset cumulative fiscal drain. 8. United States monetary privilege and pivot. Reserve currency status after mid-century enabled borrowing in domestic money under Bretton Woods, followed by the 1971 end of gold convertibility and full fiat finance with rising obligations. Footnote. Monetary hegemony delayed but did not eliminate arithmetic limits of debt and trust. 9. Over-reliance pathways to failure. 4 recurring channels including interest expense crowding out core functions, inflationary finance degrading real claims, credibility shocks raising risk premia, and social fracture as burdens shift regressively. Footnote. Fiscal strain transmits through prices, rates, service cuts, and political fragmentation. 10. Diagnostic indicators. Debt-to-revenue ratios, average maturity shortening, real yield suppression against inflation, serial off-balance obligations, and rising dependence on captive domestic buyers as early warnings. Footnote. Measurable thresholds reveal when debt moves from tool to foundation of rule. 11. Adjustment options and costs. Discrete outcomes including orthodox austerity, explicit restructuring, financial repression, capital controls, asset sales, and growth reforms, noting that states often choose mixes that socialize losses over time. Footnote. Resolution paths differ in visibility but converge on reallocating real resources from holders. 12. Synthesis and implication. Empires endure while debt augments productive capacity and legitimacy, and decline when obligations outrun revenues, trust, and reform, turning money and credit into instruments of slow self-liquidation. Footnote. The durable lesson is constraint discipline when power appears greatest and credit easiest.